The film begins with a convict named Frank who has just been released after 14 years in prison. Once a formidable mob leader who oversaw illicit enterprises in New York City, Frank finds that his influence has diminished significantly after rejoining society. The world of drugs and prostitution is now dominated by Colombian and Chinese syndicates, sidelining Frank's old allies. In another area of the city, Emilio, a Colombian sex trafficking mobster, leaves his place of business and heads to a payphone. Just then, Emilio is suddenly riddled with bullets by a group of men. Before Emilio died, the attackers showed Emilio a newspaper announcing Frank's release. Elsewhere in a hotel room, Jimmy was negotiating a drug deal with a Colombian drug lord named Tito. King Tito, annoyed by Jimmy's constant chatter, unexpectedly raises the price by 10%, taking Jimmy by surprise. Reluctantly, Jimmy hands over a briefcase for the deal, only to discover that it contains tampons. Seizing the moment, Jimmy mercilessly beats up King Tito and his crew.
Dope, Tito.
Fuck is this?
Bullet holes, putas.
After dealing with the Colombians, Jimmy and his group run into Frank in a different hotel room. It becomes clear that Jimmy's crew is behind Emilio's murder, with Frank revealed as their boss. Welcoming Frank's arrival, Jimmy reports their success in eliminating Emilio and King Tito, as well as confiscating their assets and money. Jimmy also informs Frank of a scheduled meeting with a middleman named Delicio, prompting Frank to get ready for the high-end meeting place.
The meeting set with Delicio?
Downtown. Man, I've been waiting years for this.
So, come you never came to see me?
Who wanted to see you in a cage, man?
Of course.
Later.
Frank received a warm welcome from his legal team, a group of politicians, and a district judge. He then approaches Delicio, asking for help to arrange a meeting with a drug cartel boss named Clay, under the guise of restarting his business venture. After Delicio leaves, Frank takes a walk on the subway with advisor Jennifer. Meanwhile, Delicio arrives at a crowded gambling establishment where Clay and his friends are. Delivering Frank's message, Delicio faces resistance as Clay rejects the idea of a meeting, mocking Frank for being affiliated with his rival and stating he prefers to deal with Colombians. Ignoring Delicio, Clay orders him to deliver the rejection message.
Tell him I don't talk to nigger lovers. I was making a lot of money off them Colombians.
That's right.
You tell that son of a bitch he made a big mistake with me.
If that's what you want me to tell him, I'll tell him.
Tell him something else. Get out of here!
The scene moves to a crowded subway car where Frank and Jennifer are having a good time. Suddenly, three men approached, try to taunt Frank. However, when they realize there is a gun hidden under Frank's jacket, they instantly become scared. Instead of hurting the thugs, Frank shows mercy by handing them a wad of cash and inviting them to meet him in a hotel room.
I got work for you. As for Frank White, come by the Plaza Hotel.
After the earlier confrontation, Frank and his crew, guided by Delicio, quickly move to meet Clay. Frank insists that going forward, all business operations must involve him. However, Clay flatly refused to cooperate, thus prompting Frank to decisively get rid of him.
You got some balls coming here.
With Clay gone, Frank rallied his former colleagues to join him. Next, he visited the mayor, questioning the delay in the disbursement of funds for the Bronx hospital. The mayor argued that there was no budget allocated and challenged Frank to raise $16 million on his own. Surprisingly, Frank accepted the challenge despite his lawyer advising against it. While enjoying a drink, 3 detectives named Tommy, Roy, and Dennis suddenly took Frank away. Despite the lawyer's attempts to intervene, the detectives ignored him and took Frank against the flow of traffic to avoid leaving a trail. Arriving in a deserted alley, they find Frank with an injured and unconscious man named Enrico. Frank sadly confesses ignorance, angering the detectives, but having no evidence, they are unable to arrest him. Enrico, it turns out, is a leader of a Colombian drug cartel, and the detectives suspect Frank's involvement in the deaths of 3 previous kingpins, since all these incidents happened after Frank was released from prison.
What the fuck up, motherfucker!
All right, that's it. That's it. Hey, Frank. All right, that's it. Come here, Frank. This how you do things?
I know what you're up to, White. Forget it.
Welcome home, fuckface.
Get in the car.
I'm gonna make you and your friends disappear long before that. Give your friends that message.
At the same time, Delizio meets Wong, a Chinese triad boss, at a cinema to deliver a business message from Frank. Wong insisted on receiving cash payment for a 220-pound item. Recognizing Frank's financial constraints, Delizio suggests a face-to-face meeting between Wong and Frank to reach a mutually beneficial agreement. The next day, Jimmy stops at a fast food shop, generously giving money to an old lady and her grandson. Suddenly, detectives and police officers appear out of nowhere, trying to ambush him. Jimmy finds himself surrounded and unable to escape, leading to his arrest on charges of killing several Colombians, with Enrico's testimony as evidence against him. Meanwhile, Frank visits a struggling hospital in the Bronx, which is in desperate need of government funding. He restated his proposal to Wham, but they couldn't agree on the price for Wong's belongings. Frank suggested a partnership where they would sell the items together, sharing the profits to benefit the hospital. However, Wong insisted on receiving cash for everything. Back at the hotel, Frank received news of Jimmy's arrest. Fueled by determination, Frank ordered his crew to quickly secure Jimmy's release. Later that night, Jennifer and the crew were sent to free Jimmy from custody. The 3 detectives arrived at the scene and were furious to witness Jimmy being set free. Jennifer warned them that if they didn't agree, the matter would be taken to court. Sometime later in Chinatown, Frank and his men arrived, swiftly identifying the Chinese gangs. They ruthlessly eliminated all the tribe members. After the massacre, Frank and his men arrested Wong, forcing him to reveal all his possessions. To make matters worse for Wong, even after handing over everything, he was not spared and met a swift end. A few days later, thanks to Frank's generous donation, the Bronx hospital opened its doors to the public. This news infuriated Dennis, who believed that Frank had become the king of New York, while they were stuck in meaningless jobs. He contended that the law favored Frank, who had all the money, making it impossible to catch him by playing within the system. To take action, Dennis suggested a group of detectives should confront Frank, creating a competition-like situation between gangs. However, Roy disagreed with Dennis's plan, but Dennis paid no attention to his objections. One night, at a lively club, Frank's crew was enjoying a party, while Frank himself was occupied with a phone call. After some time, Delizio arrived with a drug cartel boss from Los Angeles. This man knew that Frank possessed a 200-pound item from Wong and wanted to purchase it. Unable to pay the full amount, he proposed paying half up front and the rest after the sale in Los Angeles. Frank, however, insisted on selling the entire item at once. In response, the man requested time to inspect the item first. Unexpectedly, as soon as he stepped outside, he killed one of the guards, revealing Delizio's collaboration with him. It didn't take long before armed men stormed the scene, causing chaos to erupt.
See you later. Let me get a light.
In the midst of the shootout, Frank successfully helped Jimmy escape, but one attacker held onto their car door. When Jimmy tried to knock him out, they discovered he was a cop. Without mercy, Frank brutally struck him with a fire extinguisher.
Get off the fucking car, man! The motherfucking car, man! Ah! Nobody rides for free, mother...
Witnessing their partner's demise, the remaining attackers gave chase. It turned out they were none other than Tommy and Dennis. A high-speed chase ensued, accompanied by intense gunfire. After being pursued for a considerable time, Frank finally evaded Tommy and Dennis, successfully losing the trail in the car. As Tommy and Dennis search for them, Frank suddenly crashed his car into theirs, causing a violent collision.
Wait. What's that? Nothing!
Seizing the opportunity, Jimmy opened fire before making a final escape. Seeing this, Tommy hurriedly exited his vehicle to pursue Jimmy, while Dennis failed to locate Frank in the crashed car. Under a bridge, a sudden shot rang out, hitting Tommy. Jimmy didn't stop there, mercilessly pumping more bullets into Tommy's body, leaving him gravely wounded.
Come on, Jimmy! Come on, be like a man!
In an unexpected turn, Dennis arrived and shot Jimmy multiple times, ending his life. After taking down Jimmy, Dennis rushed to aid Tommy, but sadly, his efforts were in vain. Tommy couldn't be saved, leaving Dennis filled with a mix of emotions. Overwhelmed by sorrow and remorse for his fallen comrades, Dennis couldn't bring himself to stay at the funeral. Choosing to leave the procession, he entered his car. To his surprise, another car approached, and to his amazement, Frank rolled down the window, promptly ending Dennis's life before calmly walking away.
There was no make these petitions. Fuck you motherfucking fucking. Hey, yo.
Back at headquarters, Frank confronted Delizio, who had been apprehended by his men. During the interrogation, Delizio revealed that Enrico had collaborated with the police to eliminate Frank. Delizio admitted to receiving a payment of $50 million and being promised freedom in exchange for disclosing the location of Frank's headquarters. Upon hearing this, Frank ordered his men to bury the traitor along with the blood money under the cover of night. Worry returned home to find Frank already waiting for him. Frank admitted to killing Clay, who had amassed $13 million through gambling scams, as well as Wong, a Chinatown businessman involved in illegal immigrant trafficking, and King Tito, the orchestrator of the child prostitution industry in New York City. He defended his actions, stating that he only dealt with those who deserved consequences, even if they had taken the law into their own hands. Frank also issued a warning about hiring an assassin to target anyone involved in his case. Before departing, Frank instructed Roy to handcuff himself to a chair. However, as soon as Frank left, Roy swiftly broke free and pursued him into the subway.
You expected to get away with killing all these people?
I spent half my life in prison. I never got away with anything, and I never killed anybody that didn't deserve it. Because they were running the city into the ground.
Made you judge and jury. Talking about taking over drug cartels.
Think ambushing me in some nightclub's gonna stop what makes people take drugs? This country spends $100 billion a year on getting high. I'm not your problem. I'm just the businessman. Cuff yourself to the chair.
Inside a subway car, Frank used a passenger as a shield. Despite Roy's pleas to surrender, Frank mercilessly ended his life.
Let it go.
You let it go. I've done things in my life that you wouldn't even think about. See this? How bad do you want? You got that gun, use it. Come on!
Leave him alone, Frank. It's me and you. You can't hide behind it forever.
I don't need forever.
Frank then calmly exited the station and hailed a taxi, revealing that he had sustained a serious gunshot wound from Roy. Meanwhile, the police were alerted to the shooting and arrived at the scene. The taxi driver, who witnessed Frank holding a gun, promptly exited the vehicle and informed the police. They began surrounding the taxi, placing Frank under siege. Weakened by his injuries, Frank eventually succumbed to his wounds and bled to death. The moral of the story is to lead a peaceful and law-abiding life, avoiding involvement in illegal activities as it can lead to chaotic and unfortunate consequences. It is always better to be a law-abiding citizen than a misguided leader of a criminal organization.